All right, let's jump right in. When you think of these ancient stories, you probably picture something kind of solemn and serious, right? Well, today we're looking at a story that plays out less like a formal text and more like a really chaotic family sitcom. This is the story of Joseph, and believe me, it is a wild ride of favoritism, jealousy, and some truly terrible decision making. And when we say a lot of problems, I mean, that might be the understatement of the century. This is not your average sibling rivalry. No, no. We're talking about a level of dysfunction that could power its own reality TV series. It was the perfect storm for the drama that was about to go down. So let's meet the cast of characters in this little domestic drama. At the center of it all, you've got a dad who isn't just playing favorites, he's basically selling tickets to the show. And then there's a gift, a single gift that's going to push this already stressed out family right over the edge. Okay, so take a look at this family structure. It's complicated. You've got one dad, Jacob, but you also have four different mothers and a grand total of 12 sons. I mean, the potential for rivalry is already through the roof. But Jacob, he doesn't just have a favorite son, Joseph. Oh no, he makes sure everybody knows it. Joseph is the golden child, and dad is not subtle about it at all. And this right here is the absolute key to the whole thing. That famous tunic of many colors, it wasn't just a fashion statement. In that culture, a long-sleeved robe like this was basically the ancient equivalent of a corner office. It was a sign that you didn't do the hard physical labor. So just imagine, every single day, Joseph's brothers are out in the fields, working hard, while he strolls around in a custom-made jacket that screams, "Hey guys, Dad loves me more, and I don't have to lift a finger." So, can you really blame them for being a little annoyed? The Bible doesn't mince words here. It says they didn't just dislike him, they hated him. They couldn't even manage a polite hello. You can just feel the tension at the dinner table, right? This resentment is a powder keg, just waiting for a match. And unfortunately for everyone, Joseph is about to light it. And that match, well, it comes in the form of 17-year-old Joseph himself. As if being the favorite wasn't enough, he decides to share a couple of, let's call them interesting dreams he's been having. You know, this is a moment where a little bit of social awareness would have gone a long, long way. All right, so check out dream number one. He goes to his brothers, the guys who spend their entire lives farming, and he says, "Hey guys, you won't believe the dream I just had. We were all out there working, and all of your bundles of grain, they just bowed right down to my bundle." You really don't need to be a genius to figure that one out. The message was loud and clear. Now, you'd think after that dream went over like a lead balloon, he might learn to, I don't know, keep the next one to himself. But nope, he doubles down. Oh, and get this, I had another dream. This time, the sun, the moon, and 11 stars were all bowing down to me. So he's not just talking about his brothers now, he's roped his parents into the fantasy. He's basically telling the whole family, get ready to serve me. And yeah, the brothers, they got the message. This wasn't just some silly dream to them. It felt like a declaration of war. The Bible says they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. You can just imagine the family group chat is officially on fire. So the tension is just simmering, ready to boil over. What starts as a family issue is about to get way, way out of hand. It all kicks off one day when Jacob makes a really bad call. He sends Joseph out all by himself to go check on his brothers, who are miles and miles away from home. So, picture this. The brothers are out in the middle of nowhere, and they see this figure coming toward them in the distance. They can probably spot that ridiculous, colorful coat from a mile away. And in that moment, all those years of anger and resentment just explode. Their first words? "Here comes the dreamer." And what happens next is maybe one of the most dysfunctional brainstorming sessions in history. Their first idea? Let's just kill him. Simple, direct. But Reuben, the oldest, has a little bit of a conscience and suggests a compromise. Hey, let's just throw him in a pit. His secret plan was to sneak back later and rescue him. But then Judah pipes up with the real business plan. What's the point of killing him? Let's sell him. We can make some money off this. It is just a masterclass in terrible, morally bankrupt logic. So they've got their plan. Now they just have to pull it off. And maybe more importantly, they have to figure out what on earth they're going to tell their dad when his favorite son doesn't come home. And this is where it just gets so cold. They rip that coat off him, the very symbol of everything they hate, and toss him into a dry well. And then what do? This is the most chilling detail in the whole story. They sit down and eat lunch. We learn later that Joseph was down in that pit pleading for his life, and they just ignored him and ate their sandwiches. As it happens, a caravan of traders passes by, and the final deal is made. They pull their 17-year-old brother out of the pit and sell him. The price? 20 shekels of silver. Back then, that was basically the going rate for a young slave. That's all their brother was worth to them. Okay, on to the cover-up. They kill a goat, they dip Joseph's special coat in the blood, and they bring it home to their father. And get this, they don't even have the guts to tell the lie themselves. They just show him the bloody coat and say, "Hey, we found this. Is this your son's tunic or not?" It is just cruel and so calculated. And this is the height of the tragic comedy. Jacob is completely heartbroken, mourning the son he thinks is dead. And who's there to comfort him? The very sons who caused all the pain in the first place, pretending to care. The hypocrisy is just staggering. And they live with this lie for over 20 years. But here's where the whole story just flips on its head. As far as the brothers are concerned, problem solved. The dreamer's gone, the coat is gone, the story's over. They think they've won. But from the bigger perspective, they've just accidentally played their part in a much, much larger story. I mean, for Joseph, this has to feel like the absolute end of the line. He goes from a pit to a slave caravan to being sold in Egypt to a high-ranking official. He's lost his coat, his family, his freedom, everything. But what looks like the end of his story is actually just the beginning of what God had planned for him. And this brings us to the great central irony of this whole thing. The brothers called him the dreamer to make fun of him. Their entire plan was to get rid of him so they would never have to bow down to him. But the amazing twist is that the very act of selling him into Egypt is what would eventually put him in a position of power over them, forcing them to do that exact thing. And that's really what this whole chaotic family story boils down to. The brothers, they were driven by jealousy and anger. Their plan was messy and cruel and completely short-sighted. But their actions, the very things they meant for harm, were ultimately used for a greater good. It's the perfect picture of a powerful truth. Jealousy has terrible aim, but God's plan never misses.